All right, so you're curious about kid modeling and you want to get your son or daughter into kid modeling? Well, if you want to know that, this is the video for you, so stay tuned. All right, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rachel Capel. I am a San Francisco Bay Area photographer for 18 plus years, and I also have a son that does a lot of kid modeling. And today in this video, we're going to be talking about basically how do you submit to agencies and what are the rules and how do you get your kiddo into kid modeling? Because I literally get this question every single time I post a social media post about my son and the various, jobs that he's had. It's inevitable I'm going to get a DM about how did you get Mason into modeling? So I'm going over how you submit to agencies in this video, and we're going to get into it right now. So let's go. Okay, so first off, let's start off with some credibility for me and my son. I have been working with modeling agencies basically from the beginning of my career. I used to photograph a handful of friends that had kids that were models, and so I have relationships with agencies in the area, in the San Francisco Bay Area. So my son, when he was born, I was like, why not just try and submit and see if the agencies that I know and I'm connected with would accept him. So long story short, I did it. I submitted, which I'm going to teach you about in this video. And they said yes, they met him and loved him. And he was working for Pottery Barn Kids within 2 months. So he was working at 6 months. Pottery Barn Kids, he's done Gap, Old Navy, Pipette, what are other ones that he's done? He's done a handful. So if you go to my Instagram, you can see it, but those are the main ones that he's worked with that, really enjoy working with him and that kind of catapulted his career. So definitely have knowledge in this arena. And today I'm talking about how do you submit to agencies. So basically I want to, preface with obviously not every kid is going to be able to model for various reasons, but it is really nothing, it's free to submit. So all they can say is no. So the first thing you have to know is that each agency is different. Okay. So each agency is different. So you want to check out the agency, go on their website, and just preface of how they like to be submitted to. So normally, in general, they like emails. Okay. So email is going to be the primary way that you're going to submit. Okay. You're not going to hound these people on the phone. So that's going to be number one. You're going to submit via email. Okay. So we submit via email and we just make sure we follow the instructions if they have them on the website. Some agencies will have specific instructions, some won't. But in general, what you're going to want to do, and if you have a connection, you always want to use the connection. So when people ask me, Rachel, how did you get your son into, kid modeling? I will say, well, I work with these agencies and I think that you should submit to them in this way and you should use my name because it always helps to know somebody. It's like a warm lead versus a cold lead. Cold calling is always harder than warm calling, right? If you can use someone's name, say, hey, Joanna, Rachel spoke so highly of you, and I'd love to see if you want to consider my son or daughter. That's going to be a lot easier than, hey, stranger, what do you think of my kid, right? So you're going to try and get a connection if you have one. If you don't, it's fine. You go to their website, check out how you submit online, and normally what it's going to be is you're going to have a bullet point of things that you have to submit, which is basically your child's name, the child's date of birth, how old they are, parent or guardian's name, and your phone number. And then you're going to want to include the height, the weight, clothing size, shoe size, just the details of your kiddo's measurements, and then the city that you live in. Okay. Now, this is a very big part next. So you're going to want to keep your ears open. When you submit, it does not mean that you have to have professional photos done. Okay. Like in my career, I have had plenty of people contact me and say, hey, I want to get professional photos done for Johnny or Susie, and because I want to see if he can or she can get into modeling. Okay. I'm telling you right now, you don't need professional photos to submit to agencies. Okay. In the beginning, I didn't quite understand, so I would take people's money, but now I know that I serve my clients, right? So that's why I keep getting more clients, because this is part of business that makes you a great business owner, is you serve clients, and when you do good, you get good. So when people would come to me and say like, I'd like to get professional photos done for Johnny or Susie because I want to submit them to agencies, I would automatically say, don't. Like, don't do it until they're accepted, because you're just going to be wasting your money. Yes, I'm happy to take your money, but my conscience is like, no, I feel bad because you're going to pay me all this money and then you don't have to, right? Because what happens oftentimes is if they do want the kiddo and they're older, I'm not talking about babies here, which I'll get into. If they're older, they're going to want professional photos done, right? Because they won't have any jobs to show. They want clients to see like, hey, this kid is working. Like, for example, when I submitted Mason, it was a snapshot from my iPhone, which I'm going to go over in a little bit. But I didn't have professional photos done. I didn't take any professional photos. I took them all with my iPhone, right? Because I'm too lazy. And they said, yes, bring him in. We love him, blah, blah, blah. And then started his career. So you do not need professional photos to submit, okay? That's very important. So let's get into the do's and the don'ts of how to submit photos. So rule number one is when we are submitting, we don't have to have professional photos, okay? It's not a rule. It's actually much better. These agencies prefer iPhone pics, snapshots. They don't really like professional photos, okay? Because they have to see what the kid looks like and they have to see if they're marketable, and they'll be able to see that from the snapshots. So you don't have to pay like $500 to like $2,000 to get professional photos done. I can help you if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area once the agent says, yes, let's get professional photos done. And usually, like I said, it's for the older kids, because if you haven't been photographing like my son since he was 6 months old, he doesn't have you don't have a book of work to show. So clients, they can see that he's been actively working, but they won't see if your kiddo could do it. So having a professional photo shoot done makes sense, okay? And the best time to get kids in is when they're little. So because work begets work, if they're good on set and the agent signs them, we're good. Like it could be a really positive thing, but you definitely have to have a flexible schedule to do this. So the do's and don'ts of photos when submitting. Okay, here we go. Like I said, you want to use your iPhone, okay? We don't want professional photos done. We want to use your iPhone, and you basically want to have well-lit pictures outside up against a plain back wall, like something with a plain backdrop, because you want the kid to be the main subject. You don't want a bunch of crap in the backgrounds of the picture, or him or her holding a bunch of stuffed animals. We just want a simple picture of your daughter or son smiling and happy. You want to make sure that your child is looking at the camera. Okay. You don't want them to be like this. You don't want them to be like this. You don't want them to be like this or like this. You want them direct eye contact into the camera lens, because you can see the connection. When you look down and away, it kind of seems like they can't focus. You know what I mean? Like the kid, you have to understand this is a job. It's not for fun. It's not playtime. It's to make companies money. So these agencies want to know that your kid can look directly into the camera and smile and be happy and bubbly, okay? Always want to make sure their hair is somewhat neat and manicured. I wouldn't get on these videos showing you my disheveled bun hair. You want to make sure the outfits are clean, put together, don't have a lot of stains on them. I get it. We have kids and it is what it is. But just put them in a decent shirt. It doesn't have to be like a formal button-down shirt. Just something that's decent where they look put together and primmed and proper and, marketable. Okay. Always want to smile and show their personality. It's something about in this industry, you can literally see people's personality coming through the camera. So if your kid has a great personality and likes to smile and likes to have fun and makes contact with strangers and is not afraid of the camera, you want to try and show this, always smiling, happy, kid, bright colors, friendly, just make them look good and happy and smiley. Those are all positives. Okay, now for the composition of the photos. We want to get a close-up headshot, right, of their head. And it's good to have full length shots of their whole body. Just, want to make sure you showcase all of them. You want to make sure the background is plain. Outside shots are really good because you've got that natural light. You don't know, as a photographer, how putting somebody up against a window can diffuse the lighting. So I'm not going to like really get too much into that, but outside is usually better than inside, where it can be darker and just a little bit more challenging lighting. Like I said, always want to make sure they have their smile on and they're happy. The background is plain. There's not a lot of stuff in the background, and we'll get into the don'ts next. But outside, where they're not squinting, open shade, which means basically like you have a wall and there's like an awning over it and shading that portion of the wall that you have your kiddo on. That's really usually great light. If you do only have the option of inside, what I tend to tell people is like go in front of a sliding glass door, have your kiddo stand there in front of the sliding glass door so the light can kind of come in and it slightly is diffusing and it gets that look of what I have on my face right now. So it's well lit and show him or her smiling, having fun. You can get into little sassy poses, but always showcasing the personality is great with just not a lot of stuff in the background or in the picture. Simple clothing, can be bright and colorful, can have some patterns, not a big deal, but we just don't want a lot of stuff in the background or in the picture. Okay, so like I said before, if you can get your kiddo into modeling and start this process really early, like right when they're born, it's always better. Okay. If not, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's always a good time, but I think babies are good because companies always need babies, number one, and you can transition them and then they get to know the industry and the people. And it's kind of hard to describe at work because it's work. The more you work, the more you get. So I always try and say, try and get your kiddo into modeling in the beginning. Like Mason, he was, I think 3 months. He got his first job at like 5 months. So it's been great. It's been a great ride. And it's been great to save for college and whatever. But I have a very flexible schedule, so I can do it. But when we are talking about submitting for babies, this is what you have to do because it is different with babies. You do not, well, we're going to go into the don'ts in a minute, but you want them to basically, if they're able to sit up, to sit them up. Usually about 5-6 months, they can actually sit up or prop themselves up. You want to prop themselves up with something or have them sit up and take a snapshot in the descriptions I've been saying in the prior minutes ago of how to do it with the simple background, smiling, not a lot of stuff in the background where you can see their head, their eye contact, their smiles, cute, not a lot of toys in the background, stuff like that. Now, if the baby can't sit up, then you want to either lay them down so you can see clearly their face, like possibly swaddle them, but you want to make sure that the potential agent can see what they look like. You don't want them to have like a hat on and all that stuff, but we'll get into that in a minute, the don'ts of submitting. So if they can sit up, great, sit them up and show their head and then show their whole body. If they can't, you can lay them down with not a lot of stuff, put a simple blanket, blue or white or whatever on them. If they're sleeping, that's fine, but also include ones where their eyes are open because obviously newborns are little and they sleep a lot, but like get their eyes open so that the agent can see, oh, okay, they have pretty eyes, like whatever. You want them to try and look at the camera. I know with babies it's a little difficult, but if you can try and follow those rules of like babies, you just need to make them, have the focal point, be the baby and have their eyes open. They don't necessarily have to be smiling, but if they can smile, great. If not, no worries, they're babies. But just prop them up or lay them on their back or put them on their tummy so they can kind of prop themselves up a little bit. Okay. They just need to see the baby. So those are all the do's of how to submit for agencies for little kids and babies. And I'll show you some examples of what are good photos to do, so you can at least have a visual of exactly the way to submit properly to agents. Okay, so you can see those coming up. And now after that, we're going to go into the don'ts of what not to do when submitting. Okay, now let's go into the don'ts of what basically not to submit to agencies. Okay, because this is going to hinder your opportunity of getting in. So it seems kind of basic, but number one, don't submit blurry or fuzzy out of focus pictures. It just doesn't make any sense. If you need glasses, put them on to see and make sure that they are in focus and that the potential agent can see clearly if this kid is cute or not. Okay. Don't submit weird cropped pictures where you're being really lazy and you're just trying to crop out grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles, and then you have a picture that's like this big, that's totally small and skinny. When those kind of pictures come in through the agency, it just shows like you're kind of lazy and you don't really care. And to be honest, in business, like, why should we care? If you don't care, why should we care, right? So kind of what you give is what you get, right? Don't put other people in the photos unless you are trying to showcase siblings that could potentially have work as well, or mom and dad. If you have a great family photo of everybody, then maybe you throw that in just to see if the agent would want to have family, models all together. I have lots of friends that have kids that work with their sibling and actually get work as a family. So there is potential there. So if you want to do that, make sure to submit that as well, like sibling photos where they're all together. And for these kind of things, you could easily do like a family portrait. If you had one done, just throw it in really quick. Again, you don't have to schedule a photo shoot separately to do this. Like, we just could use that picture that you had for your family photo shoot. And yeah, just don't put in grandma and grandpa in there. Just make it about the kid that you're trying to get work for. Now, another thing to not do or have in the photos is big, gigantic hats, helmets, bike helmets, sunglasses, big bows on little girls, that just can be really distracting. You might think it's cute and that's your style, and that's fine. But we are a business here and we're just trying to get them in and out. Like, is my kid cute enough? We don't want things to distract away from the cuteness of the kid. Don't have any pacifiers, any bottles, any strollers. Try not to get the hand in the mouth, because again, the hand in the mouth, you just can't see the kid. No pacifiers or binkies or anything like that. Like, just really want to showcase how cute the kid is, and we'll have examples of what to not do after this. No face paint, no masks for Halloween. Like, even if he's really cute, like an Avenger or something like that, like, I know that might be a really cute, like, Halloween costume, but we need to see the kiddo, right? The potential agent needs to see how cute the kid is, and that costume or mask or face paint is not going to showcase how cute they are. It's going to be distracting. And then last but not least, don't, even though I know it's so fun to get the kids dressed up in these cute holiday, super fancy dresses and whatnot, you don't need to do it. You don't need to make it like a JC Penney's. I don't even know if they do that anymore. Anyway, you don't need to have some fancy outfit to showcase to this agent how adorable your kid is. Literally, like, you could see it with a plain t-shirt and pigtails, or just a simple picture of your son. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't have to go all out. We are just trying to get a yes or a no here. So those are the don'ts of what not to do. And I will show you some pictures now of like absolutely do not do. All right, so let's go over some of my pro tips and my experience with my son, so you can at least have a person that you can say that is in the industry. So like I said before, you do not have to pay for photos. You don't have to pay for photos when submitting. The only time you would pay for photos is if the agent assigns your son or daughter and says, hey, Okay, so Cindy doesn't have any pictures. Why don't you contact Rachel and get some headshots done so we can have some photos on her website, so when clients come to the website and look at Cindy, they can see, oh, she's really cute, she's got professional photos done. It just makes sense. But that would be the only time really you would pay for photos, is when the agent recommends getting them or updating them. Okay, but when you are submitting, you do not need to do that. So back in the day, there used to be a place called, I think it was Barbizon, or I don't know what the names were, and I don't know if any of them are in business anymore, but they would say, come and, see if your kid could be a model, and it costs $500 or $300 back in the day, and we can let you, we can get your kid started in modeling. In my opinion, I wouldn't do that. Okay. I didn't have to do that, and so you shouldn't have to either. You should be able to submit some iPhone pictures to agencies and they can say yes or no, because what the agencies are going to do is they're going to look at your kid as dollar signs. They're going to be like, is this kid marketable? Can I get him a job and therefore get paid, right? So you shouldn't have to do that stuff. All the stuff down the road, once your kid is working, and maybe there are workshops that teach them how to pose or teach them how to walk the runway, but they're already working and they just need those skills kind of fine-tuned. That is when you purchase those courses, right? You don't do it to get your kid into modeling. I mean, I didn't have to, so I'm trying to tell you that you don't necessarily have to either. If you want to, fine, great, whatever, that's your money. But I mean, I'm just telling you how to submit to agencies, how I did it, and my son has worked multiple times throughout the years, for years and years. Every year he's been on this earth, he's been working multiple jobs every single year. So we didn't have to pay for any of that. And yes, I'm a photographer, but I took all of my pictures with my iPhone, because taking out my 70 to 200 to take a photo of my kid, it takes work. And I like to get paid when I'm taking out that camera. So that's a pro tip, and I can tell you the agents will know right out the gate if they want to sign them. They'll say, what will happen is you'll submit the email, you'll send the pictures that I told you to do, and they're going to either say, oh, he's really cute, or she's really cute, why don't you come in, or why don't we schedule a Zoom call so we can meet him? And if this happens, you are thumbs upping, because that means that they want to meet your kid and see if they would be a good fit for the agency and potentially, work down the road for them. So they want to see the personality of the kiddo. They want to test him. By all means, know that this is a test, okay? Because I have had clients where, they've submitted and they've gone in for the interview, and you're thinking it's a thumbs up and it's a good to go, but it ends up being like, well, Johnny's a little bit too shy, might not be the right time for him, maybe come back in another couple years when he's a little bit more open, right? Doesn't mean a complete no, it just means not right now. So maybe you follow up with them in a year or two. But that interview is to meet them, to see if they'll be able to communicate and be on set. Because let's be honest, not every kid is made for modeling. You've got to have a personality that's going to light up in front of the lights and the camera, and you're going to have to smile, and you're going to have to do all the things. And if your kid can't do that, it's just better off that they just don't choose this as a path to do. So that has been my experience working with various agencies and having my son in modeling for well over 6 years now. Hopefully it will work out for you. Hopefully it'll give you some value of how to submit the proper pictures and what not to submit. If you want more information, I have freebies down below that will teach you everything you need to know about basically kid modeling, my experience with it, working with agencies as a photographer and as a mom of a son that does work with pretty big corporations here in the San Francisco Bay Area. It'll go over an overview of kid modeling, like I said, when to pay for pictures and why, how to submit, and the agencies that I recommend in the area. I have a handful that I absolutely think are fantastic, and I can give that list to you. And then just what to expect when signing with an agency, and once you get booked, how to operate on set, and what to do and what not to do, because there are definitely rules on set, and you don't want to mess with breaking those rules because there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, just check those freebies out down below and reach out. I'm happy to help. And I say go for it, because you just never know. The modeling industry right now is like in a complete transformation, and I love it. I think it's like so good. They are being so open to all different ages, races, colors, shapes, sizes, genders, all the things. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for kids out there. And just know, I mean, it might be for you, it might not be, but it's worth a shot. You don't have to pay up front to just ask and get a yes or a no. And hopefully this video gave you some value to figure out how to do that and what to not do and what to do, and save you a little bit of money up front. And just know it's a business. So you're going to put money in and you're going to get money out. So communicating with the agency is always fantastic. They're here to be members of the team with you. And it is so fun. And I can tell you, we've had a blast. And we've made so many great friends. And I just can't, sometimes I'm like, how is it possible that my kid did Pottery Barn, Spring Collection, Easter Collection? Like, he's done so many different campaigns. It's just really, really, really cool. And I don't know, sometimes I pinch myself. But anyways, check out those freebies down below. If you want more information, reach out. I'm happy to help in any way I can, and hopefully got some great value. Make sure to subscribe and check out this next video coming up right now.